We are taught to admire greatness, to study it, to replicate it, to worship it. History, cinema, business, politics, everywhere we turn, we are handed stories of great men. People who rose above the ordinary, people who bent the world to their will, people whose names outlived their bodies. And we are told politely but insistently that if we want a life that counts, we must want what they wanted: power, legacy, immortality. But what if these stories are incomplete? What if greatness, as we define it, comes at a cost? Today we talk about that cost. And to understand it, we begin not with a real man, but with a fictional one who feels disturbingly real: Charles Foster Kane. Citizen Kane opens not with triumph, but with death. A vast estate, a man alone in a palace, which was built to house applause, the applause that never came. A final word whispered into emptiness: Rosebud. From the first frame, Orson Welles tells us something radical. This is not a story about success. This is a story about what success failed to save. Charles Foster Kane has everything that the world equates with greatness: wealth beyond comprehension, influence over public opinion, a newspaper empire, political ambition, cultural power. And yet, his life does not end in fullness. It's fragmented. Everyone remembers Kane differently. To some, he's a visionary. To others, a tyrant. To some, a boy who never grew up. To others, a man who devoured everything he touched. But no one truly knows him. That is the first warning. Greatness comes with witnesses. It does not come with intimacy. There is a name for the idea that Kane embodies: the great man theory of history. It tells us that progress is driven by extraordinary individuals, that history moves forward because of singular genius, that society advances because certain people are born to lead. This idea flatters ambition. It suggests that if you rise high enough, if you conquer enough territory, whether it's economic, political, cultural, you will become indispensable. It promises gravity through dominance. But it hides an unstated assumption that the inner life of the great man is irrelevant. Loneliness becomes collateral damage. Broken relationships become footnotes. Emotional deprivation becomes proof of focus. We are taught to admire the output and ignore the cost. Charles Kane believes this myth completely, and it destroys him. Every myth begins with an origin story. Kane's begins in the snow. There's a child at play, there's a sled. It's a moment of innocence, interrupted by adults making decisions about his future. Kane is not saved, he's taken from his parents, taken from emotional continuity, taken from a world where love was not transactional. In exchange, he is given something far more dangerous than trauma. He is given power. From that moment on, Kane confuses control with safety. He learns that people can be lost, that affection can be withdrawn, that belonging is conditional. So he decides never to need anyone again. This is the emotional blueprint of many great people. A private wound, a public empire. Success fills the space where attachment should have been. At its core, Kane's ambition is defensive, arises from self-protection. He does not build an empire to serve the public. He builds it to silence his fear of insignificance. Notice how Kane relates to people. He collects them. He employs them. He owns their loyalty. But he cannot tolerate their autonomy. When his first wife fails to adore him, he abandons her. When his second wife wants a voice, he crushes it. Kane does not want love. He wants worship, because worship does not leave. This is where success stories become dangerous. They teach us that achievement is proof of worth and that relationships are accessories. But emotional intimacy requires something Kane never learned: vulnerability without leverage. And the great person cannot afford that. Kane becomes obsessed with legacy: statues, art, palaces, monuments to permanence. Xanadu is not a home, it is a mausoleum built during a lifetime. The irony is devastating. The more Kane tries to outlive himself, the more absent he becomes in the present. Legacy thinking pulls us away from the now. It makes us wonder, how will I be remembered? Instead of, who's with me in this moment? Who shares this moment with me? The great person is always speaking to the future and therefore missing the present. Kane dies surrounded by possessions but starved of connection. We barely talk about emotional poverty. Not the absence of money, but the absence of safety, attunement, and care. Kane is emotionally poor. There's immense opportunity, but he lacks capacity to receive it, to hold it. He was never taught how to sit with disappointment, how to negotiate love without control, how to be ordinary without feeling erased. So he overcompensates. He fills space instead of inhabiting it. This is the hidden cost of greatness. The myth tells us, if you become important enough, you will be fulfilled. The reality is that fulfillment requires skills no amount of power can replace. Why does the great man myth survive? Because it's comforting. It denies chaos its randomness, as if to convey that disorder is something that's written, it's designed, that history is intentional, that someone is in charge. It also gives us a fantasy. If I succeed hard enough, I can stop hurting. But success does not numb the nervous system, it amplifies it. Unhealed wounds don't disappear at the top, they get microphones. Citizen Kane is not a warning against ambition. It is a warning against ambition without emotional literacy. What if greatness looked different? What if we admired people who sustain relationships, leaders who can be wrong, creators who can stop, achievers who remain human. What if legacy was measured not in monuments, but in nervous systems calmed? Kane could not imagine this. He lived in a world where to need was to lose. But we don't have to. At the end of Citizen Kane, the mystery of Rosebud is revealed. It is not a symbol of lost wealth or lost power or lost ambition. It is a memory of being held before greatness was acquired. The myth of the great man tells us to outrun our wounds. Citizen Kane tells us something braver. You can conquer the world and still lose yourself. And perhaps true success is not being remembered by millions, but being known by a few.